Marty, where do we start? This has been an interesting week. So, well, obviously the title says a lot.
Combination of interesting week, interesting news, sad news. There's some really sad news. That darn sad news in Nova Scotia. Those kids that went missing. But yeah, let's start with let's go with the thumbnail. Let's start with Carney and his meeting with his. I'm surprised he didn't wear a hockey jersey with his elbow pads and show up there. Like, what a. But actually, I think the best way. I don't know if you queued it up, but Jasmin Laine did a great montage side by side of what Carney said during the campaign and what he said sitting down with Trump. And it is it's about 2 minutes, but it is so on, like I'll talk about it while you're looking it up, right? I mean, Carney said, like, the relationship with the US is done. And then he goes up to meet Trump, and the first thing he says is, like, we have a great partnership and a great relationship. Fine. And then flashback, Carney said that if electing Poilievre would be a big mistake because Poilievre idolizes Trump, right? Remember how he said that? Well, yeah. Carney sits down with Trump, and what's the first thing he does? It's so nice to meet you. You're a great president. You represent your people so perfectly. You're doing great things for world peace. Like, Carney went on a freaking 3-minute suck up. Like,
you'll have to help me find it. So this is Jasmin's page. And there's a lot of
probably
videos.
that one right there, the very top one, like right
this one here,
right there. Is it about 2 minutes long, or
there's another one? There's this one that's about 2 minutes or so long, but this is if I can't find that clip, this is a good one of a compilation.
From real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now.
But never say never. Never say never.
I don't think we can change Donald Trump.
Yeah, this is it.
I don't think so. Not at this stage.
Get you to lift tariffs on Canada.
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
And a person who draws his inspiration from President Trump, like Pierre Poilievre, will kneel down before him.
You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world.
He's a transformational president. Like, he's just kissing his butt. Now, This is a great one from Vesper. He put this one out saying, "I cannot tell you how absolutely embarrassed I am as a Canadian. During the meeting, Carney spoke for 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Trump spoke for 29 minutes and 47 seconds. Thanks for letting Donald Trump embarrass all of Canada for a half hour while you sit there like a silent coward."
Carney was literally
came down to.
Carney was literally putting up his hand, like, "Can I speak?" Like, he's like putting up his hand like he was in class. It was funny to watch, And then I mean, okay, so it's the first meeting between those two. It's a nothing meeting. I'd say it went better than I expected for Carney, because Carney's a suck up, right? And Trump doesn't like suck ups. So it went better than I expected. But then when I look at it, it's back to what we said a couple of weeks ago. I have a feeling there's a couple of guys poking Donald in the ribs saying, "Hey, be nice to this guy. He has this, we all own Brookfield or whatever." Like, like, there's a bit of that going on. I think Carney's well connected, and a few guys in the room are telling Trump, don't be too tough on him. But to me, the funnier thing was the Liberals here back home now saying, like, how great it was, right? Like, oh wow, the whole world should be proud. Like, we're lucky to have
amazing.
Carney. Like,
Well, it's absolutely amazing to me, because, like, this is the exact opposite of what he campaigned on. I put this one out there: Canadian boomers waiting for those elbows to go up, but only seeing thumbs up.
Yeah,
I mean, like, the whole reason that they wanted Marc Carney in there is because he was going to be tough to Trump, and he went in and he was not tough. He was not tough at all. He didn't get any of the tariffs taken away. They're all staying on. all the ones that are currently in place, and that's it. We're just gonna deal with it like good little Canadians, like we normally do.
Actually, tariffs officially like have been on for a while, but we're finally seeing some of the impacts of our counter tariffs. Ford Motor Company today readjusted their prices. They do it like, whatever, twice a year, 3 times a year, and bumped up the prices of a whole bunch of cars by like just a flat $2,000 across the board. The F-250s, the ones made in Mexico, bunch of trucks here. Like it's immediate. Yeah, nothing came out of that meeting, and nor would it. I mean, Carney is the prime minister, but he hasn't formed government. Like we're still going to sit here waiting for these guys to do something. When did he invite the king to come speak to us? Like
it's the end of the month, I think.
End of May, right? May 28th, something like that. Yeah, so
something like that.
So no government for another 3 weeks, and then and Carney hasn't gone to the governor general with his. There's still shenanigans, right? There's still backdoor. There's still vote recounting. They've shifted back and forth. The Liberals lost one, won one. I think they're still at 169. I guess he's been unsuccessful at recruiting NDP to get them to cross the floor. So he's sitting with a minority government at this point. And he's going to be a bit of a lame duck. I think he's going to focus on just continuing what the Liberals were doing before, focus on censorship and gun grab. And,
this is why I'm happy that they're not in government yet, because the second they get into government, they start doing what they're planning on doing. And that's what I'm afraid of.
They're going to continue doing what they were doing, right? Which is kind of easy. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to build 500,000 homes. I'm willing to bet on that.
Well, and they've already promised, Marc Carney already promised to bring back the Online Harms Act, which was Bill C-63, which will be named something new, but essentially it's going to be the same stuff. They're going to try to censor the internet, make sure that people, I mean, this is why when people said like, this is the last Canadian election, that it's true. They're going to make it more like there was a big push for the Conservatives, and it was a lot because of what was happening online. When they get rid of that, there's going to be no competition. It's just going to be a monoparty. That's it.
And we can see it already happened simultaneously in other countries. It happened in Australia this week. Australia had its own election and almost an identical outcome. Germany had something happen this week and almost I'm not totally 100%.
Germany, they outlawed the right-leaning party.
Yeah,
they just outlawed it.
Yeah.
What did they do in France? They threw Marie Le Pen in jail.
Yeah,
that's it. They're doing this all over the place. Where it's anti-democratic. I mean, like I don't know how else you can say this, where you just jail the people or you ban their parties on what grounds? Oh, because you don't agree with it, you don't like what they're saying. That's it. Yeah, it's insane. It really is insane. And then we have shenanigans. We have shenanigans all over the place. This is another example of shenanigans. This is Mark Nixon putting this tweet up. Who else is struggling with this? Liberals won a riding by just 29 votes, and 400 ballots were thrown out. Whose votes were thrown out? Yeah, we want to see all of that. What was the decision making behind throwing out the votes? I saw cases where they were saying, what was it? They were saying some places were telling you can't use a pen to vote. Other places, I was given a pen. So I don't understand we can't use a pen to vote argument, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and Elections Canada is in overdrive with their campaign, trying to tell people, oh no, we run a good policy, we run a good election. These are all rumors. These are all fake news. Like they're, friend of the channel, right? Eva Chipia came on top of Elections Canada today and says like, you shouldn't be focused on this. Like if you were truly transparent, you shouldn't be defending yourself. The fact that you're defending yourself constantly and people don't trust you is, I always say it, like it's where there's smoke, there's fire. And so if you question a bully and the first thing the bully does is turn around and try to turn it back on you, you're onto something. So Elections Canada right now, they're fighting really, really hard, saying, "Oh no, this is just disinformation." Folks, there's videos of people lifting boxes and putting them in cars, and that evidence right there, that comes from their own website. Like, 429 ballots discredited suddenly, like, and then it gives the thinnest of margins. Like, that's
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be an automatic recount just by a vote being that close, like within 29 votes? Like, that should be an automatic recount, just like for no other reason that it's close.
Yeah. I think there's like 5 or 6 recounts already underway. They're automatic. The one in Brampton, the one in there's one in that was the one in your neck of the woods.
This was Milton East, Hamilton Hills South.
Yeah. That one too, by the way, we're gonna piss off people, but I don't care. Put it back up. Like, that's a vote split. That's a PPC vote split. That one, right? Look at the
well, look at the PPC got 472 votes in that.
Yeah, and you could also say it's an independent vote split and it's a Green Party vote split. I get it. It's but some of those have been around for a long, long time and are trying to form a legitimate government. Anyways,
well, the PPC is not. That's
already the panel's lighting up and all the bros are coming after us. I do not need any more PPC swarm. Sorry I said anything. I love the PPC.
Well, that's it. Like, so some of their candidates are good candidates. The guy who ran in my riding, Payman, fantastic guy. I've spoken with him many times. So they're not. I would argue, like, for guys like that, running a different party, like, just go independent or whatever. It's not very wise to be in the Max party.
Well,
I mean,
they can all come to Alberta right away here and run in the Battle River Crowfoot, because there's because Marc Carney, that actually, this surprised me. Well, actually, let's not jump to that one. Okay, so Marc Carney hasn't formed government yet. He has to. Yeah. He's about, he'll go visit the Governor General probably days before. Well, actually, he gets to go right to the big guy this time. He gets to go right to King Charles, right? King Charles is coming here. Like, tell me this wasn't, like, tell me they didn't think they were going to win like months ago, right? Like, Charles.
Marc Carney did say to Trump that he met the owners of Canada. I think he was referring to King Charles, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Marc Carney's wife just published a book, and the book already came out, and the book is entitled something like, My Path to Becoming the First Lady. Wow, how did you just decide on the title today, or did you decide, like, you printed these books like 3 months ago, and the title of the book is basically like how I became the First Lady of Canada? Like, come on, man. Like, this was and yes, like how quickly this King Charles organized a trip to Canada. Takes him like 2 years to figure it out, but he's coming here to remind us. This is the best part. King Charles is coming here to remind us that we're sovereign. Like,
oh, Marty, that's too funny. Because what does that kind of segue into perfectly? The idea of liberation, being sovereign.
I think before we go that, let's finish on two things. Let's finish on Canadian, on the big federal politics. So
okay.
So Poilievre didn't win his seat, so he had to weird announcement today. Not weird, or formalized yesterday. Andrew Scheer is the interim leader of the opposition, interim leader of the Conservative Party. So if he's interim leader, that kind of means that Poilievre had to resign everything, and then and then they reappointed Andrew Scheer. I think they should have rewarded other lieutenants. Like, they should have rewarded Leslie Lewis or Leslyn Lewis or
Roman Baber, perhaps.
Roman Baber or Brock. What's Brock's last name? Anyways,
I thought it was Larry Brock.
All right, Larry Brock, not Brock.
Yeah.
Larry Brock, guys like that. But anyways, they're going with the safe Andrew Scheer. That's fine. I guess Andrew will be debating Carney in the House of Commons. It'll be pretty civilized. I guess that's the look they're going for. So then Poilievre, and then in another weird twist, an MP in Alberta volunteered to step down from his seat. The guy had just won his seat, right? Just won his second term. He's only needs to serve, let's say, 2 more years, and then he qualifies for a pension. But he said, screw it, I'm stepping down. Good on him. I'm sure deep down he knows he's young, and he'll get his he'll get his remaining 2 years down the road somewhere. So then, but that doesn't. When an MP steps down, that doesn't mean that whoever steps in there becomes an MP. So Poilievre will run in Alberta. And then again, in a weird twist, Marc Carney said he will declare a by-election immediately. As soon as
he was trying to say that he wants to be fair about it, and it's like not sticking the knife in kind of thing. That's
I mean, so either he's setting up a trap for a double loss to Pierre or something else, right? And Pierre, I dare say, might not get a cakewalk on this one. This is where I was going with this. You know how
he's in Alberta.
Yeah, it's in Alberta, but he's going to get like, there's already movements. We live in weird times. Like, people don't like that. People don't like the fact that the MP who stepped down was very liked. And people in his actual writing are saying, bullshit. We don't care that it's Pierre. He's coming here and Pierre won't represent us. So the concept.
Well, Jeff Rath brought up a great point yesterday when he was on my show. He said Pierre is basically Marc Carney to Albertans. He's from Alberta, but he hasn't lived in Alberta forever. Exactly. And he's not representing Alberta. During the last election cycle, he was asked about transfer payments and a number of Albertan issues, and he wanted nothing to do with it. So how is he going to represent the people in Alberta?
Yeah, that's what exactly. I agree with Jeff on that, and that's where I was getting with this. Is that the local redneck Albertans in Battle River Crowfoot, they value having somebody local represent them. They're not interested in the broader politics, and so they absolutely see Pierre as an outsider playing games. That's it, and they don't care if the games are being played by liberals or conservatives. They don't like games. Now, that said, I also think it's going to be a bit of a gong show, because I'm guessing there's going to be another 90 names on that ballot. Like, everybody and their dog that I hear is already. My friend George is literally going through the process right now. He sent me an email. It's like, here's the paperwork. I need 100 signatures. I'm like, okay, well, you sign mine, I'll sign yours. And 200 names. Okay, somebody already said it. Yeah,
this is Mark Nixon. He was reporting on it. Says, if you think his ballot was long, just wait. The same clowns who made a joke of our democracy are planning to double it with 200 names on the ballot. And the new riding that Pierre is going to be Battlefield Crowfoot?
Battle River.
What was the name?
Battle
River. Yeah, that's it. So, like, this is the ballot's going to look like. It'll look twice as long as this one, because this was the one from Carleton where they came in and put all these extra names on it. Yeah. It's a joke. It's a total joke. What are we doing here? And you know, the CTV even pipes up and they join in on making this, gamifying this. They're saying, how much could Pierre Poilievre's by-election cost taxpayers? Since when do they care what taxpayers are paying? Like, they have no qualms with what Justin Trudeau's been doing over the past 10 years. And now it's like, oh no, they're going to have a by-election.
And legitimately, it's about $1 million per riding. Like, you know, the election we just had, Elections Canada said $570 billion, give or take. So, you know, it's $130 million or $1.3 million per riding. So a by-election immediately would cost another $1 million just to run. But if the ballot is 200 names long, she might be more expensive. They'll need more volunteers to count, special rules for rolling the ballot. Like, how do you big giant stuff boxes, like big giant, actually make it a good Alberta thing, like dumpsters, get big dumpsters and zip cut a slit in the dumpster, and then you get your 200-foot long rolled up ballot and you shove it in there. Let's do it, folks. Let's do a proper election.
It's just too funny. It's too funny, and it's shenanigans, more shenanigans after more shenanigans. But that's what's been happening in Parliament, well, in Ottawa, Canadian politics in general. Was it Doug Ford now? Doug Ford piping in, congratulating Marc Carney. Everyone's upset about that. I got the clip here. Might as well just play it.
With the Prime Minister and all the premiers, We all congratulated him on his victory, but also congratulated him on how well he did yesterday and the restraint he showed. I don't think I'd have the restraint that he had yesterday, to be very frank. But in saying that, I think it's a good start on a new relationship. I saw President Trump said really kind things when he just tweeted out. So that's good. It's good for the country. It's good for the U.S. Had an opportunity to speak to the U.S. ambassador this morning and get his take on things. I think everyone's feeling relatively good on the meeting yesterday.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're feeling really good. He was just restraining himself, man. That guy is a recluse. He just go at Donald Trump if he was in the room with him.
He should have.
I'm tired of this tough talk that all these politicians have. It's so ridiculous, and they're really living up to that stereotype that Canadians are a pushover. Like we'll talk big, and that's and it goes nowhere. It goes absolutely nowhere. In fact, this is what's hurt us more. All this talk.
Yep. Yeah,
it was the talk during the elections that got Trump to say, "Yeah, okay, well, I'm going full steam ahead with these tariffs." Everyone else got a 90-day reprieve.
Yeah. Did you see in Ontario one of the breweries came up with an elbows up beer, kind of like the Bud Light, like literally. There's a brewery in Ontario that came up with an elbows up beer. Carney should have grabbed a case of that and brought it to the White House. Here you go, Donald. Like.
Oh well, Mike Myers should have got a case of something because he's now elbows deep. I don't know if you've heard that story. So recently they're having that P Diddy trial because P Diddy's a big human trafficker. All of the stuff I don't even want to say on the channel.
It's not a story I want to talk too much about. But
no, I'm just talking about the Mike Myers connection. So when they were doing. How did this happen? So they're interviewing the jurors, and when they do jury selection, they have to ask them specific questions like, do you have any sort of connection with people or anything to do with anyone who may be named in the trial or anybody who might be a plaintiff or something? And Mike Myers and Michael B. Jordan came up. I don't know if that's the Michael Jordan or that's a
no, totally different Michael Jordan, totally different.
Yeah, but Mike Myers' name came up in that, implicating that he will be something to do with this thing. Don't know what that means.
Yeah, his name will be mentioned in some document, or he'll be on some manifest, or he'll be on some invitation, or his picture will show up at a birthday party, something like that, right? I mean, it's well, at this point, I mean, like. Pretty much everybody went to P. Diddy birthday party and pretty much went to Epstein's Island, but we're still not talking about it, and no one will admit it, including Carney, right? So, that's an unfortunate one. What was I going to say? You had me thinking about something. Oh yeah, I was going to try and make a joke out of the fact that did you see the other? Like, there's another very important place that's having an election right now, but I think it'll be a more subdued election. The Vatican.
Which place?
The Vatican.
Oh, who cares? Who cares?
No, I don't care, but I care about the comedy that went on with that. Did you see how upset people got? Like, somebody posted a pic. You know how at the Vatican, the way they announce that they got a winner is they make a fire and there's a certain color smoke that comes out, right? So if it's white smoke,
that's right. Yeah.
Somebody posted a joke and had orange smoke coming out of the chimney. For Orange Man bad?
For like Donald Trump getting the Pope? Oh, wouldn't that be too funny? Oh, man. Yeah. The last Pope was a woke Pope. Let's hope the next one's actually Catholic. That's all I hope for the Catholic people. Is you get a Pope that actually believes in the stuff you believe in. That would be fantastic and refreshing, I suppose, to say the least. But yeah, this is where we're at now. Pierre Poilievre, getting back to Pierre Poilievre, he's been asked a bunch of questions because he was in there meeting with his caucus. Even he's the leader, but he doesn't actually lead the party because he's not an MP, at least not yet. All of that stuff was going on while that was in the news. Even Joe Rogan piped up about Pierre Poilievre, and this was interesting because I was on the bandwagon of saying, Pierre, if you want to win, you got to go do these podcasts, get your voice out there. And it's not just about like, oh, people watch Joe Rogan. It's like, no, Joe Rogan's clips go everywhere. They go absolutely everywhere, and everyone's going to see it. And you want to reach that young demographic that didn't get out to vote. They didn't go out. They didn't do what we were hoping they would do. And it's because they didn't hear the message. And that's it. Now, Joe Rogan, he had some words to say. I'll pop this on here.
It kind of reminds me of what happened in Canada with the truckers.
Yes.
I mean, they froze their bank accounts.
Yeah.
Or people who donated to them.
Yeah. People who donated to them got their bank accounts frozen.
How insane.
Insane. And then that same party just won again. Good job, Canada.
Oh my God.
Thumbs up.
Good bear hunting. I would never go there.
I do have to say, I offered to have that Pierre guy come on the podcast.
Really?
He didn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Thought it was too problematic. Or whatever. Jordan told me, I forget what he said, but they were telling him not to do it. Like his advisors were telling him not to do it.
What?
Like, hey, dumbass.
If they can't talk to you and have a conversation, hold up. You're not grilling people. You're not attacking people.
Of course not.
This is like a safe, the friend zone type thing. It's like, no. And I heard you talk about Kamala saying, just want to get to know her. Just want to talk to her.
100%. I said, if there's certain things they didn't want to talk about, I don't need to talk about them.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm like, I could talk to you about fucking AI.
You've never been the gotcha guy.
This episode is.
And that's it. Like he went on to talk more about it after that commercial that he ran. And his thing was, he was saying, apparently they're just too afraid. They don't want to come out and be associated with this group or that group. And it's ridiculous. It's all ridiculous.
Well, if you're going to go on a show, anything, if you're going to make a decision or you got a decision to make, you got to weigh the pros and the cons, right? So what's the pros? I might get 6 million views. Okay, that's a pretty big freaking pro, right? Like it's the largest podcast in the world. And
if you aggregate it out there, it's way more than 6 million views, though.
Sure.
Everybody doing.
So I'm doing the pros and the
videos.
cons. Pros, I get 6 million views. I get to show. I get to talk about something that the traditional media won't talk about. I get to show more emotions and appeal to a younger crowd. Okay, that's the pros. I asked people, what's the negative? You know what they told me? The CBC might make fun of you. I'm like, oh my God. The CBC is going to
anyway.
They're going to make fun of you anyways, and nobody's watching the CBC. Like you're giving the CBC credit that's unworthy, and so not going on the Joe Rogan podcast because the CBC might make fun of you is perhaps one of the worst excuses I've ever heard. And apparently, it was sort of bounced out there. It's one of the excuses. I'm like, no. Like
I think this is like the worst political blunder ever.
Yeah,
I honestly think so. He had an open invitation. Joe Rogan he confirmed that. He was invited to speak with Joe Rogan, be on the show, 3 hours long, just like Trump did. Trump sat there and talked for 3 hours. Kamala turned it down because reasons, but man, just what a blunder. Absolute blunder. Big mistake.
Yeah, it's right up there with running in Carleton. I mean, he must have been advised that the boundaries had been redrawn and it included a bigger chunk of liberals, and on the ground the forces were doing some serious door knocking. He should have picked a little bit safer riding than perhaps Carleton. So but anyways, we'll see. It'll be it's going to be interesting. Carney's going to go to the Governor General in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get the King come over here, and then we'll go from there. We'll see. I'm with you. I think censorship is going to be high on their agenda. Censorship.
Absolutely.
And then back to the gun grab and climate change. I keep forgetting about that one. We're still the only country in the world we're going to have it shoved down our throat. Climate. Like it's not going away. Carney believes in that, and we're still going to hear it.
They're banning cars, Marty.
Yeah.
This is starting next year. Next year in Canada, 20% of all vehicles sold by any manufacturer have to be zero emissions.
Right.
20%. That, you know what that means? Quotas.
Yeah,
it's a quota.
Totally. No, there's no. It's the same thing when they say, "Oh no, we're not capping oil and gas production. We're just putting a cap on emissions." Sorry, folks, you're putting a cap on emissions. You're putting a cap on production. Like it's there's no other way around it.
And so Alberta's looking at this and going, I'm glad for you. but I'm gonna have to just check out.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks for
And
the
we
ride.
did, and boy, we did, right? I mean, this week was an incredible week. I had predicted this. This is no, I said last week I was upset about the loss, but I wasn't upset because my plan B was just the loss. The losing the federal election was a wake up call. I already knew Confederation's messed up, and I didn't need that additional wake up call. But I'm pretty sure that the loss last week woke up a whole lot more Albertans than before to the reality that we're not going to get a good we're not going to get a good deal voluntarily from Ottawa. There's no way. They're not just going to, they're not going to cut back on equalization payments. They're not going to give us more seats. They're not going to back off from net zero electrical grid. They're not backing off from emission caps. They're not backing off from any of that stuff. So the separatist movement or sovereignist movement or whatever you want to call it in Alberta got a big boost last week. Really big boost.
Well, you know that it's taking off when the attacks start coming. And that's really where you're like, oh, okay, this is working. This is working. People are actually on board with this. That's when the attacks come to try to thwart it or put things down. I know that there's the 51st state stuff. They're going to go with the orange man bad when it's really about independence and it's a liberty movement. Let's be honest about this. The Alberta sovereignty movement, the Alberta independence movement is a liberty movement. It's get this awful government off my back. Get this it's the rest of this country that's trying to impose their will on us and take everything away from us. It's our
provincial motto. Fortis and Libre, strong and free. It's our motto. I mean, what's his name? Blanchet in Quebec today was asked, do you have any advice for the separatists in Alberta? And he's like, get your own culture, because I don't think oil and gas is a culture. I'm like, oh my God, get a culture of their own. Yeah, get your own culture. Like,
for a long time, you've been talking about trying to separate from Canada. Now we're seeing that out in Alberta. For the people in Alberta who want to separate, do you have any tips for them on how to actually get the job done?
Our success so far, it does not place me in a position to give them tips about what to do, but I could give them tips about what not to do. Not now. The first idea is to define oneself as a nation. Therefore, it requires a culture of their own. And I am not certain that oil and gas qualify to define a culture. But it's theirs to decide if they want to vindicate the right to self-determination. Would never interfere in that. It belongs to them. I would like us to be the first to do so.
Mr. Blanchet?
What a ridiculous thing to say. What a prick, to be honest. To say that Alberta doesn't have a culture. I've been to Alberta. Go to Alberta. You'll understand there's a culture there. Holy cow, is there a culture there? And people are very proud of it. People are very proud to be Albertan.
Yeah, actually, now I'd heard the clip once before. That I heard it a second time. Okay, yeah, he's a prick. You've never been here, Blanchet, so we do have a culture. At least he had a sense of humor about a couple of other things. I'm glad he acknowledged that I can give you advice on what not to do, which is good. And he also said, I'm not exactly in a position to give advice because our success at separation hasn't been so good. Okay, so he acknowledged that. So I'll retract a bit of my comment. Because I do want Quebec to be kind of an ally in this battle. I've been pushing Quebec forever. Put your money where your mouth is and get going. And because I do it selfishly because it would save me money. It might save Canada if they left, and it would help us to see the path. So I don't want to totally disenfranchise the Quebec like I did last week. But yeah, Monsieur Blanchet, come visit Alberta and I'll show you. We do have a culture. It's not just oil and gas. We're pioneers. You guys were colonists. We're pioneers. There's something different. We came here. We cleared the land. There was no government when we came here. We are a small government, independent, pioneering, self-sufficient, entrepreneurial nation more than you guys. That's how I would define this. So
that's a very fair assessment. And we speak English. Well, there's Franco Albertans. I mean, you're one of them.
Yeah.
Jeff yesterday was one of them. I didn't know that part about him, but yeah, it's a thing. But this is actually, it looks like it's happening. It looks like it's happening, and the support is really there.
Actually, can we, before we, the support's there, but I like what you said earlier too. You know, it's happening when you're being attacked, right? So the attacks this week, like, you know, it's happening when suddenly Dean Blundell, Rachel Gilmore, Sheila Copps, Jan Arden, like all the classic
random.
But they're the big liberal voices, and all of a sudden this week they're all suddenly like piling up on us. Like, it's like Sheila Copp today, she's like, you don't get the Rockies, they belong to Canadians. I'm like, Sheila, the best thing about an independent Alberta, if I had my way, is we'll have passports and we keep you out. Like, that's the best part. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Sheila Cobb shows up at the Alberta border, scans her passport. Beep, you're on a no travel list, dear. Go back.
Too good. So what if you, so that's the thing, like, oh, the sentiment, well, we want to keep the Rockies in Canada. Well, you know how you could have done it? Treat Alberta with respect. Now, Canada has had umpteen chances. They've had a very long time to right all of the grievances that are going on between Alberta, the west of Canada, and what's going on in the east. They are making no moves. Nobody is making any moves. Nobody has made any moves right up until this last election. Like I mentioned, Pierre Poilievre, he's supposed to be the conservative side, right? Not even bringing up transfer payments when he was asked about it. There's we have no plans to even look into that. No plans to look into the things. And why? Because there's no political will. This is where political will is going to come
There's
from.
no political will, or even worse, it's unpopular with his base out east, so he's just not going to touch it. Like, he's not going to touch it. That's why I didn't talk about gun laws, because it's just not popular. So he was so cryptic talking about it. By the way, I wanted to say one thing too. If you go and ask the people in Jasper right now, I'm not so sure they want the Rockies to stay as federal jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Like, the people in Jasper right now, a year later, let's go ask them. I'm not being facetious. I know they want help. They've asked for help, more help from Alberta than from Ottawa, because the help from Ottawa ain't coming, man. Ain't coming.
It is, and it isn't coming, and it probably comes with strings attached if they do end up getting it, and that's the real crappy part.
Huge strings attached. I've already seen the strings. Did I tell you on the show? We're digressing, but I've had people reach out to me and showing me what's going on in Jasper, and they're like, "Can you help with this?" And I'm torn, because I want to help them, but I've been trying to help them, and they wouldn't take my help, and now they're finally getting over that tipping point. Like, I think they need to hurt a little bit more, and then, you know, I'm pushing it and I'm rubbing it in their face. They're realizing that they're being screwed over. Like, you know, that we're not allowed to rebuild a house unless it meets these guidelines. I'm like, we warned you about this, but you thought we were all from Mars, and so now it's happening, and now you want us to help. I'm kind of wanting to let you struggle a little bit longer. I mean, one guy the other day reached out to me, wanted me to share some petition, and I said no, because part of the new guidelines for building homes, they won't allow parking lots. Why? 2 reasons, right? If you don't allow parking lots, you can squeeze in a lot more homes than, you know, when there's no parking spaces. And this guy's like, well, that's insane. You know, blah, blah, blah. I threw it back in his face. I'm like, you guys are all granolas. You're supposed to be in Jasper. Aren't you the ones always telling us that you don't ride cars because you only ride your bikes? Oh, yeah, but we need our cars in winter. I'm like, gotcha. Common sense, folks. Like, so want to help you, but I don't know where we got on this subject. Oh yeah, people saying, you know, the Rockies belong to Ottawa. No, they don't. They don't. No, they don't. Yeah.
No, they don't. And well, the thing is, like, so this whole Western separation thing has been a very, you know, it's been an underground bubbling thing that's been happening for 40 years or so. And now it's really coming to a point where this is viable, like it's feasible, that within a short order, because let's be honest, we are not getting another election anytime soon.
No.
I'm predicting that what you and
I said 12 to 18 months. Yeah, I said 18 months. I mean,
I think it's going to be 4 years. I think that they're going to go for the long haul, and the damage that's going to be done in this time period, it's like, why suffer it when there's a way to get out of it? There's an absolute way to get out of it. And I'm honestly, I look at it this way. Because I'm not in Alberta. I live in British Columbia. I have plans to move to Texas. I'm very much for liberty. I hope that Alberta gets its independence and gets to do this. But I'm also looking big picture. Right now, with the transfer payments, you have all this money going from Alberta, the hardworking people, and that's going to Quebec to make it so they don't have to pull minerals or energy or anything out of the ground. Well, if that cuts off, if that's over, then they get to work. They'll get to work. They don't have any money to just sit down anymore. They'll have to get to work. And what does that mean? That means everybody gets cheaper energy. Everybody gets more stuff, more resources. It all goes onto the market. Right now, it's in the ground, and there's no plan of that ever coming out because they have a way of doing it. Soaking everybody dry in Alberta. If Alberta says, forget it, I'm out, Quebec gets to work. It really is. And it doesn't matter where you are in the continent, you will benefit from Quebec getting to work, even if they're doing it independently. I've said this many times. I hope Quebec separates, because then that means that they'll be independent and they'll do more stuff. They'll be part of the greater economy. They're not just going to like fly away on it becomes a big thing, and it'll drive a lot of economic activity. I like this idea.
Totally. I mean, they won't just get free money. Like right now, the way it works, folks, is they get basically Alberta money, and then they use the money from Alberta, and instead of buying back Alberta oil, they buy oil from Saudi Arabia. Well, then the money will be gone. So then they'll still continue to buy oil from Saudi Arabia or Alberta if they're smart, but then they'll have to make up the cash. And that's when, then finally you might see Bombardier become an efficient company. Maybe the Bank of Montreal will stop being so corrupt. Maybe Air Canada will finally turn a profit. like Quebec companies will, a lot of good Quebec companies that are underperforming, and they'll have to start performing, like you said. I don't think they'll drill. I think Quebec will never drill. They will never. They'll keep using oil. They'll be hypocrites about it, but they'll never drill their own oil. Not until they absolutely can't get it anywhere else. But the separatist movement got a big boost in Alberta this week with Danielle, right? We always knew, the law always existed, that the citizen-led referendum. Danielle campaigned on this. Danielle, in the last election, wasn't top of her list, but she campaigned on more power to the citizens. Specifically, last year, the popular one was beefing up the recall legislation and stuff like that. But this week, she packaged it all up. She's like, I'm going to introduce a bill right away here to give more powers to the citizens, including the referendum and changing the referendum. Because the referendum was similar to the recall legislation. It was unrealistic. Like if a citizen-led referendum needed 50% of the votes that had been cast in the previous election, which was a ridiculous number. Now she lowered it to 20-25% threshold, or we'll see. That's what she says. But so,
she said 10%, 10% of the, 10% of the number of ballot or the number of votes cast in the last election,
which is 1.7 million people. 1.7 million people voted in the last election. So 10% of that would be 177,000 signatures could trigger a referendum, which is it's still a big number, because you have to collect the signatures by hand, right? You can't do it with a petition online. You have to go door to door. And if you think of a sheet of paper holds about 20 signatures. And when we were collecting signatures to get rid of Jody Gondek, the recall here, we needed 300,000, and we never got to it. We got to I can't remember what the number was, but in a sheet of paper with 20 signatures is about 30 minutes to collect. If you just think about it. And so 170,000 signatures is 17,000 sheets of paper. 17,000 sheets of paper times 30 minutes is 8,000 hours. It's like 3 man years kind of thing. It's a lot of time just to collect them, just to get people to sign it. So
that's right.
But anyways, yeah.
Well,
And
hopes are up.
I'm sure you
Hopes
talked
are
about
up.
this.
I was just going to say, oh, sorry. Hopes are up. Hopes are up about this one, because not only is the threshold going to be lowered, but it looks like they might even hit the old threshold. So
we've already hit the new
was
one like this week, right? Like the new one.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Alberta Prosperity Project got 146,000 signatures this week alone.
It's a quarter million signatures in a week. That's
I created
incredible.
just me, Clyde. I just went online and I created a QR code that points to the Alberta Prosperity page, right? People ask me that because on X, whenever you put a link, X throttles that. X does not like links because they're kind of taking you off the platform. So rather than put a link, I put a barcode or a QR code so that people could go. My own QR code, I can track the statistics on my own QR code. My own QR code got like 32,000 hits. So 32,000 people scanned my barcode and went to the Alberta Prosperity Project. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just looking at that going, that's insane. Like, and then it expired because I didn't pay the money for the barcode.
Oh, you have to pay money for it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'm gonna make barcodes for everything, but
yeah, you gotta make barcodes. Like if you want to send somebody to your, you know how the problem with the barcode or the problem with a QR code is it counts as one image, right? So on X you can put up to 4 images or whatever, but you know, like today for this show, I put your thumbnail and then I put the link. What we should do in the future is do an image of the thumbnail and the QR code incorporated into one, and we'll get better traction than the link. X will immediately shadow ban a what's the link called nowadays? Is it just called the link or a hot link or a
URL?
Yeah. It'll automatically shadow ban a URL because you're taking attention away from the platform. So a QR code as an image. So next week, that's what I'll look into it again. Maybe I'll pay the $2 and I'll get the QR software, or there's other ways, you know, like turning a link into a QR code is a smarter thing on X.
That's a great one. You should almost make T-shirts with the Alberta Prosperity one.
Yeah,
like you want some freedom or want more freedom? Boom, there's a QR code. People just start clicking on that just everywhere you're going, and that's a cool idea. I like that. We should explore some more of that. But yeah, again, back to Danielle Smith. So Danielle Smith addressed everybody again. I'll play a segment of the video here.
However, if there is a successful citizen-led referendum petition that is able to gather the requisite number of signatures requesting such a question to be put on a referendum, our government will respect the democratic process and include that question on the 2026 provincial referendum ballot as well. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, that being separation. We are well aware that there is a large and growing number of Albertans that have lost hope in Alberta having a free and prosperous future as a part of Canada. Many of these Albertans are organizing petitions to trigger a citizen-initiated referendum, as I mentioned earlier. The vast majority of these individuals are not fringe voices to be marginalized or vilified. They are loyal Albertans. They are quite literally our friends and neighbors who've just had enough of having their livelihoods and prosperity attacked by a hostile federal government. They're frustrated, and they have every reason to be. I want to talk directly to those Albertans. I know how frustrated so many of you have become with our country and the feeling of having politicians living thousands of miles away, passing laws and rules that have cost you your loved ones, jobs, careers, dreams, and opportunities for a brighter future. Now, none of us knows what the future holds should Ottawa, for whatever reason, continue to attack our province, as they have done over the last decade. Ultimately, that will be for Albertans to decide, and I will accept their judgment.
She'll accept the judgment, and that's really, yeah.
Well, two things. I'm glad she said that, like, about guys like, she's literally addressing guys like me. I mean, I had a vicious attack last week from one individual who accused me of being a traitor because I was promoting that QR code. You know, she said, "You're a traitor." She tagged the RCMP, said Marty's a lunatic. He's putting the country in danger and he shouldn't have guns. Like it was over the top insane, right? And so, yeah, I'm not a, and I brought up the definition of traitor. I have not, by the way, a traitor is somebody who goes against, you have to have taken an oath to be formally a traitor. And I did not take an oath to this country. Okay. I was born here is a big difference. And the constitution of our country is very clear. I'm allowed to ask to part ways. That's just so I'm not a traitor by talking about this. So I hate that term, but I'm glad Danielle reinforced it, right? That's weak sauce to call somebody a traitor who wants a better life, even if whatever. I do, but I will push back on one thing Danielle said, which still worries me a little bit. She said she'll put the referendum on the vote next year, which is still a year away from the election, right? So then she'll be in full campaign. Of course, if let's say 1 million people vote for separation, she can't ignore it. For sure, she can't ignore it. But she still can. And that's the part that worries me. That's still the part that worries me, right? Like at this point, it can be on there. We can vote for it, but then she can drag her feet. And so my worry about Danielle Smith is she's not a separatist. Never has been. She's more of a federalist who wants to make her mark as, she doesn't want to make her mark as being the one who led to Alberta being out of Confederation. I think she'd rather make her mark as somebody as getting Alberta a better deal within Confederation. It's subtle, but it's she's not a separatist. That said, my bet right now, the best strategy is like, yeah, let's get 2 million people to vote in a referendum and say we want out of here. No politician in his right mind, her right mind, would ever ignore the will of 2 million people. Like that's, so a referendum is definitely the best first strategy. Get that on the table,
So I know you've seen this clip before, but I have a clip of a young Danielle Smith, and she sounds very much like a separatist. Let me put this one on the table because this very much sounds different than I want to stick around in Canada.
Does need to be some more collaboration between our 4 Western provinces, and if you go and just draw the line straight down North America, maybe all the way down to Texas, maybe that needs to be the new alignment of how our trade ties work, and then we can still have a relationship with Canada and Ottawa, but it will no longer be our most important relationship. Our most important relationship should be with our peers who we will have more direct trading relationships with. And the country never really made sense east-west. It still doesn't, because if you look at the fact that we don't even have an east-west pipeline, for instance, that gives you an indication of how difficult it is to try to get anything done across the entire country. Maybe we should.
That's 2012, Danielle Smith, Wild Rose Party, talking out loud. She's not like that anymore. She's definitely, or if she's like that and it's buried, then okay, we need to bring it back out. But publicly, she's not like that. Yeah. She's we all remember those great videos where that's before she crossed the floor, right? So that was a very different Danielle Smith in those days. Yeah.
But that means that the sentiment is alive, and it's a sentiment that's in Alberta, and it's been that way for a very long time. This is not a new thing, and it's not just people pissed off about the results of the election. Of course, they're pissed off about the results of the election.
There's been a separatist movement in Alberta since 1930. Like 20 years after we joined Confederation, right away, some guys went, whoa, time out. Like this ain't working, right? So we've been giving it chances. But back to what I said, yes, Danielle Smith is right now is our best bet. I'm not going to deny that. She's absolutely our best bet. And yeah, even more importantly, let's get 600,000 people signed up so we can get a referendum. Then let's get the referendum a year from now, and let's get 1 million people to vote yes in a referendum. Wow, then hopefully the sentiment awakens in Danielle or somebody. Yeah. Actually, we need to do one other interesting thing in the meantime too. We need to We need to either get. I'm torn up on this one. Naheed Nenshi is still the leader of the opposition here, right? I'm thinking maybe let's get him in the House of Commons. Let's get him in our legislature. Danielle, call a by-election so we can finally either we defeat Nenshi, which I think is what will happen. But if he's not defeated, at least let him sit in the House of Commons so you can make fun of him properly face to face, and then get rid of that strike when do unto others what they've tried to do to us. So like Nenshi this week is trying to distance himself from Jagmeet Singh. The NDP in this province had their convention last weekend, and at their convention they voted to part ways with the federal arm of the NDP party. So that tells you what's going on with the NDP. So they're losing
control.
They're in total damage control. So Danielle, now's the time. Call that by-election. And if Nenshi wins, so be it. Then he'll be in the legislature, and you can make a clown of him there, or he'll lose. I think he might even lose. So yeah. Anyways,
he's the leader of the party, but he doesn't have a.
Yeah. He's been sitting there as similar to Carney. He's not elected. He was chosen to be the leader of the NDP. Actually, we haven't talked about that. That's the other prediction. Like, who's going to be the real leader of the NDP? Like, what's going to go on with the NDP?
Who cares?
I know who cares, but I mean, is
they have what 6 seats or 7 seats? How many seats do they have in Parliament right now?
They haven't at this moment until 3 of them cross floors, and they're not an official.
That's
party.
it.
Yeah.
3 of them are going to cross. They're not an official party. 3 of them are going to cross the floor. I'm sure of it. They're going to be given because Carney made a smaller cabinet. And I wonder if he made that smaller cabinet with the thought of like, well, I can expand it if I need to.
I think he did a smaller cabinet purely out of the fact that he had no more talent in his gene pool is like a little puddle like in the backyard. He was looking around the room going like, really? Do I he's going, no. Then he gets to Marc Garrett's and is like, I can't. I just can't. Right. So then he moves on. Then he gets back to Chrystia Freeland, who's not in his cabinet right now. Right. Chrystia Freeland came back in now.
She is. Yeah.
Wait, did I miss that? Did Carney announce a cabinet today, or when did Carney announce his cabinet?
I thought he announced the cabinet last week, and he brought that out. She's been given the position of transportation and interprovincial commerce.
Okay, I missed something then. That's the old cabinet of pre-election. I don't think he didn't announce.
Oh, okay. So it was pre-election what he chose. That's what.
Yeah. He hasn't announced his post-election cabinet. So okay, you scared me there. I was like, holy shit. Let me look into that. Maybe
I thought he was going to stick with that. I thought he was just going to.
People ask questions during the comment section after this. Like, did Carney announce his cabinet and I missed it? I mean, to be honest, I took a day off. Like, I needed a day off this week. People online saw what I did. I went and grabbed my ATV, went driving up and down county roads and dug up trees before at this time of year, the county mows all the properties, and they put the blades on their tractors quite high. So if you got little spruces that are about this tall, they're missed, but the spruces that are a little bit taller, they get chopped down by the blade. So I don't feel bad. I go running up and down the county roads. I dig up the spruces and bring them to my property. I had fun. Like, Marty needed to relax this week. So Marty was working in the garden, fixing stuff, getting his mind off of politics. So maybe I did miss a cabinet shuffle, but I don't think I did. But somebody.
Well, other than that, where can people find you, Marty?
Other than running up and down county streets collecting trees and empty beer cans. Marty Up North on Twitter. Yeah, find me on Marty Up North on Twitter and Facebook YouTube if you're so inclined. But I'll start posting on YouTube right away here when hiking season starts. So yeah, find me on Twitter, folks, or X.
Sounds good.